Spring isn't too far away now, and we thought this morning we'd go through our living wall and do some spring renovation work. And I thought before we start doing that cleanup and work, I would just take a quick look at it and show folks the current status before we go through and do renovation. So some of the work we want to do this morning is to cut back the miscanthus, which, my goodness, what a beautiful being that is. So we sell this on the website. We're sold out right now, but we're really excited. We've built up enough stock that come June we should be able to start offering significant numbers at even lower prices for these. We're really excited to have these growing, and our plan is to cut this at ground, because each year you want to cut it back fully because it never reuses the old stalks for itself. So we cut that back, and we're going to weave it into the fence, which will double up the fence. That'll be a nice way to tidy it up and get it ready to grow again. And likewise, what we're planning to do is go through, doesn't look like much right now, but all of these stalks are Helianthus giganteus. Sorry, lots of cars. That's part of the reason why this is here. So it's a giant perennial sunflower, which would be another thing we offer. This gets about 8 to 10 feet tall, loaded with flowers, which then make tons of little seeds for the birds. Barely there, but we can see the new shoots are getting ready to come up. So if we cut back the old stalks, that'll help stimulate some new growth. And the plan is to use some of this woody debris and carbon material that was generated over last year and that rested for the winter as a visual barrier, and lay it up in a way where it can act as a berm that we can cover with some hay and wood chips to help absorb junk from the road before it gets into the watershed. I know with this amount of BS and traffic and big diesel trucks, we're not going to make a big difference, but we can at least try. So far, having this berm of debris and lots of mulch, all of this non-water absorbing surface where water flows, every time it rains, there's so many driveways and roads that there's flooding, but that water at least has a chance to get filtered, and some mud sneaks through, but not a lot. We're able to absorb a lot of that into this landscape. So you do what you can do. One thing that was interesting is that even though we have just a carpet of mint, chocolate mint, growing all through here, it was still soft enough, desirable enough, whatever enough, that voles came in and chewed the bark off of a lot of the poplars that I had stuck. So there's an interesting fun fact. If you have enough snow and enough cold for winter and delicious things under deep mulch, even mint won't keep them away. But they did a really good job. But I've come to learn over time, even though it might look really bad, this may or may not, they may just grow. A lot of times they'll be girdled. It's crazy. It's the little beings know that if they don't girdle just one little strip, it'll let the plant stay alive to grow another year. So a lot of times they girdle, but they leave a bridge graft. It's crazy. So we're gonna leave them. They'll probably come back, and we'll get through here and start cleaning it up and take a look at that. We're just getting the ball rolling with the cleanup, and went through with loppers and cut back all the stalks from the giant perennial sunflower. The idea there is to clear out that old material. Now that we're getting to spring, it no longer is necessary as wintering habitat. It's great to leave that stuff up all winter for visual barrier, but also habitat for things like spiders and the like. And by pruning them out, we're able to start laying up a windrow, like I mentioned before, of material. This will be our destination for all compost for this spring. And now that we've got that windrow laid up, we can start sketching out where a walkway goes. So we'll just finish up making a nice fresh chip walkway that focuses foot traffic. We figure we don't really need a ton of access through here, so we'll just chip it out right to about here, and then we'll do another, once we've cleaned out the miscanthus, we'll freshen up a chip path that brings us through this whole block. So the next order of business is Sasha and I will go through and lop the miscanthus back and take that material and weave it into this fence. And I just realized this woven miscanthus grass is coming into 4 years old that it's held in this fence through 3 heavy winters, tons of wind, sun, growing seasons. It's amazing, this plant. So we're gonna get to it and cut and weave.
So I'm just following you?
Yeah, you'll just take the slices as I do them. Pause there. You want to lean that up against the fence?
I can grab them all and then I just have them.
Sasha's weaving in the very last of them. It took a good solid hour, but what a serious wall. We're gonna leave the stalks up for now, unless the wind tells us that it's rough on the fence, in which case we'll cut them like we did the ones we did 4 years ago. Nice weaving, Sash.
Thank you.
Anyway, the last order of business is for me to prune down the last of the perennial sunflowers and then go through and do a tight pollarding on the curly willow and spotted alder on the northeast corner, just to get them a little bit more compact and dense to block from wind and view coming from that direction. But boy, oh boy, it really thickened up the wall. Not to mention that the miscanthus will be about twice as thick in actual growing. I think this will be the year that we get pretty much complete blockage from the road. We'll see, and we'll do an update as we go. I'll make the last little cuts and a last shot.